What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing good tonight.
Yep, we got a special guest tonight. But I'm gonna let you introduce everything and take off with it and do your thing, man.
All right, we have Mark Rowe here with DragWorx RC. What's up, Mark?
Not much. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you for coming on. You got on the spotlight right now. Anyway, Mark, I understand that we have some new tires coming out.
Yeah, yep. We are definitely in the early testing phase. We're actually getting ready to do some design adjustments based on the initial testing. So we're getting closer. So far, testing is we've had good and bad. We, for the most part, I've learned a lot about tires in the last year. So, it's we didn't go into it thinking, going to make a tire and it's just going to instantly perform. However, we've had some really positive results on the initial test tires.
So, tell me what made you initially want to start doing tires?
Actually, one of my team drivers, Grits, had the idea. He's like, you know what, we need, man, it'd be nice if someone would make some tires. He was actually instrumental in, planting the seed, so to speak. And, I was like, okay, I know a guy. It was one of those moments, and so, made some quick inquiries, and one thing sort of led to another, that it just is like, once we started learning that it was pretty feasible to actually do, and the fact that who the competitors are in the market right now, really prompted even the person that I turned to be like, yeah, I'm on board. I'll definitely, help get you started, and offered, help with the design and engineering team. So it wasn't just a matter of saying, here, make me tires. We started as just an initial conversation that has turned into many, 2 a.m. Zoom calls and dealing with design simulations, engineering drawings, the what ifs, the hows, what's going to work best, at least from an engineering and on paper standpoint. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this. What makes your tire different than, say, the competitor's tire?
Well, the thing is we took the approach, basically, we know where the performance of the car is at, and I want to stress that all the tires that are currently on the market are focused on the current level of performance, and we're already seeing how fast the NPRC cars, the Street Eliminators, Street Outlaws, Pro Mods, whatever you want to call them, are evolving in terms of how quick, how the mile per hour. What was incredibly fast 6 months ago
ain't there now.
It's not there now.
Yep.
And we're seeing this at a rapid pace, but we're also seeing the current level of tires, blow chunks out of sidewalls, the rubber delaminates from the belts break. So knowing this and knowing that it takes time to develop, we took the active stance of just clean slate. We're coming with a completely different design based on knowing that the cars eventually are going to eclipse the triple digit mark. Yep. And so the thought was, okay, how do we make a tire hold up to that while still being very, have very soft, pliable rubber, and be reusable, because obviously, we're, even though there's been comments of the top fuel era, of this sport. No, the thing is, you still want to be a cost effective, especially right now. Everything's so expensive.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you don't want to just have to, wait months to get a tire, or hope that you get a tire and then get it and then have it wear out in an afternoon,
Yeah. Blow
or
sidewalls out or
blow
anything.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we took the we looked into, okay, there are other forms of high speed RC tires. How are they not coming apart at over 100 miles an hour? And really started dissecting these tires and figuring out, okay, can we borrow some of this technology? And that's how it kind of started. However, it was mainly to as a fact finding. So we actually developed a completely new style of belt that is kind of a two-stage belt, I guess is the best way to put it.
Mhm.
That you have a primary belt that's actually quite a bit thinner than, let's say, a Reaction or a DRC tire or Voodoo, but it's made out of carbon Kevlar is the primary material. So it can be stronger and thinner and lighter. And then what we did is we added a secondary layer. Think of it kind of like a mesh or net or whatever, that is unstressed. So in the event that the belt snaps, let's face it, it can happen. I'm not going to say the tires are, indestructible, because they're not. I mean, no tire is.
Yeah. Ain't this is funny.
But when we see when a tire fails at the speeds that these cars are doing now, if that belt fails and the tire catastrophically fails, it usually causes a pretty nasty wreck, which costs, again, money. You're wrecking your cars. Not it, and let's face it, not everybody's got a huge budget or a team behind them or a sponsor. But they're still going fast. If they wreck, it's going to cost money and could continue to knock people out of contention at a big race. So the thought is if we put a secondary measure in place where if the primary belt breaks, suddenly it's going to pull tight, and instead of having the tire just blow apart, it just grows a little bit and the car veers and is still recoverable.
Yeah.
You were only going 132 feet, so in theory, if it gets you across the finish line, yes, you still could potentially you could still win. Or if you don't wreck your car, whether it allows a buyback or whatever, the car lives to race another day.
Yeah, it ain't blowing up and flipping you all the way over the track or anywhere else.
Exactly. And so the belt itself does stand out compared to the competitors. It doesn't look like anything else on the market. It's it's when some of the guys that have done some of the testing and have kind of seen it, the first words out of us is like, what is this? This is so crazy looking. But it once I explain what it is, it actually makes sense.
Are you ready to show it to them?
Yeah. We can definitely show.
Where'd he go?
Where'd you go?
He just kicked back off. He should be back in a minute, y'all, because he's gonna have to explain it. There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
There you go. Well, there's the.
Can you see it?
Yep, I can see it. There.
Yeah.
So, what you don't actually see the actual belt. It's actually buried under that layer. So, the actual belt is actually within the carcass of the tire, and that is the secondary that you see. So that's the part that actually would pull tight, allowing the tire to stay there. Now that is our sidewall, which is another thing that differentiates us from other tires. We actually designed the sidewall so that it alleviates stress on the bead as well as the transition to the patch. So versus having a straight rib, which has your pressure points at the ends, we decided to spread that out so there'd be less tension per millimeter on the bead or in the transition to the outer carcass. And it is split into inner and outer circumferences. So it is tunable, but you can also tune from the inner part of the tire or the outer part of the tire. So like if you were to cut some off, you could actually make the outer portion more flexible than the inner portion, or vice versa. So there are some thoughts behind that, is why we didn't take the same route everybody else does with the straight lines. But
Here we are. Those are good looking tires.
Thank you. We spent this all actually started in August of last year, I guess, is when the first conversation started. So it wasn't until March, April timeframe that we started the molds. So there was a lot of back and forth. And we actually went through multiple design iterations before saying, okay, we can design until the cows come home.
Yes,
we gotta make a tire to start testing.
I have a question that has been asked 2 or 3 times now, and it's in regards to the availability of the tires.
Okay.
How hard are they going to be hard to get? Are they going to have to do the pre-order?
So my plan is I don't want to play the monthly pre-order game. I've said it in the past that I don't agree with that. I would much rather do an initial pre-order so we know kind of what to expect. Once we're to the point where we're comfortable selling them, I don't want to rush them to market and have things not perform or a failure that we didn't anticipate. But once we're there, I would probably do a first run pre-order. And then after that, we'll have regular shipments. So as long as, demand, if we can balance out production and demand, they should be relatively, available all the time. That being said, part of the plan, so to speak, in terms of production, is that if we start exceeding production capabilities, well, then we'll just have another mold made. And there's actually multiple mold copies now, so we can actually increase production pretty heavily before getting to that point. Obviously, they have to produce the tires, then they got to be mated up with their foams, because we are including foams, and packaged, and then they got to come to me. And shipping time from post packaging to me is about a week. We're not worried about the slow boat. It's not, we're customs and everything like that. We've already gone through and streamlined that, because the people that I'm dealing with also have warehouse and shipping facilities here in the United States, so it's very streamlined. So there's not going to be much delay from the time that they are packaged, boxed, and then on my doorstep.
What are you thinking will be the initial price of the tires?
The target goal is going to be between $45 and $50 a pair.
Very cool.
We still have obviously we got to figure shipping and stuff like that to me and everything. So, and some of the packaging costs are still a little bit up in the air. So there's going to be, we have a goal. We want to keep it between $45 and $50. And like I said, that does include foams.
And that all depends on what the market does and everything else. I mean, it's kind of like bidding on work before, before it gets here. You know what I mean? I got jobs I bid on 2 years ago that, saying the price of materials and everything else was half the cost of what they are now. So
yeah. So yeah, it's for the most part, there's still some things that we're working out, but we do have a plan in place. Also, have the plan is also to have dealers. It's not going to be just through me. So cool. There's at least 2 retailers on board right now to be dealers. So and that's in the United States, also in Australia, Black Knight RC. Jason out in Western Australia is going to be our Australian distributor.
What about Canada?
Baby steps, man. Baby steps.
Yeah. That's funny.
We even got, it's like there's more than one tire design too. That's another thing. It's like, this is just the first tire. We decided to stick with, the traditional, 2230 tire. We knew it would sell. It's a known commodity. So, we're going to learn a lot from what this tire does and performs, and we can apply the changes here to a straight design that has equal sidewalls that is also in the works. We've even been toying with front tires as well.
Very cool. And what about like textures? Are you gonna have soft, medium, all that good stuff like everybody else, or what?
Right now I have the option of 5 different hardnesses. So everything from down to 25 durometer all the way up to 55 plus, and that's all in my compound. And then I can also get natural rubber variants of them. And we're already looking at where we can make additional compounds, but that has to come down the road. Obviously, right. We got to get to selling the tires and having them form, and then learn how we can improve the tires. This isn't static. It's not going to design a tire that's going to work great and then just try to ride the wave as long as it can. Everything we learn from the customer base and racing will help the future evolutions of said tires.
Yeah. I said, the speed, like you're talking about earlier, the speed that we're running now and everything else is, we never thought we would be this close, this quick to breaking 100 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to do it. We're probably going to do it this year. It looks like the way we're going. So. You know what I mean?
Especially, there are, everybody's kind of on the green monster kick right now, and which is a motor that has, there's potential with the amount of torque. It's not the only way to go, obviously, but now you've also got other brands that are investing in similar motors that are more tunable.
Yep.
And as we increase, motor tunability, if 4 poles where it's at, then you're going to go faster as we can tune them and upgrade them. The tire technology, I'm pretty sure that I'm probably not the only one thinking along these lines. So, we may see some other tire brands come out with something along the lines of something, be able to handle the higher speeds.
Yeah. Well, you got to, like I said, that's with anything. We got all the products on the market. The more power we get, the more everything's got to be stronger, and and grip. And it's all got to line up. You can have all the power in the world, but if it don't go to the ground, you ain't worth the crap. You know what I mean? So,
do you have a release date?
No, not at this point in time. We're in fact, I was up early this morning looking at engineering drawings for potential mold adjustments. So that has to be done. And I should know probably within the next week how long that's going to be. And then we'll go from there. So, but it's definitely taken a lot longer than what I expected. But at this day and age, everything seems to take longer. So, it's, you learn from, problems and everything, and use it as a motivator to make things better. And that's why we test. And the thing is, one thing, I don't say who's testing the tires. I'm very quiet about it. People don't really need to know. Even people who are testing tires don't know who the other people are. They've got very specific requirements, homework assignments, if you will,
Yeah.
that they're looking for, and that way I can parcel, the data together in a much more cohesive manner. I used to work for Ford Motor Company years ago in a special vehicle team, and was very I had a front row seat to a lot of how the compartmentalized testing, and that's kind of how I base some of my stuff with. So there's a lot of data coming in, very different data sets, and then I can compare it. It's unbiased, I don't, there's no one's feeding off another person. It's reported directly. I compile it and then make a decision. And most everyone has had the same results and problems and successes. So it's definitely created a roadmap, if you will, of what needs to be changed and how to go forward. So we should be able to, with this next iteration, be really close to production, I would hope.
Cool. Very cool.
The question has been asked, where is DragWorx RC located?
I am in beautiful Southwest Michigan. I am 15 minutes from the beach in Lake Michigan. So.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then, like I said, and tires ain't his only thing. No. If you see, if you want to go fast, he can hook you up too. So.
Yeah. That being said, that the like the Green Monster stuff, the Castle motors, we've haven't really done a whole lot. 2-pole has always kind of been my thing, but we've got quite a few like customer and team driver 4-pole motors here that I'm working on to try and figure out a way to crack it, so to speak. And I've definitely got a game plan for those. And I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to end up becoming a Castle dealer, or just wait for the brands that I do carry to release theirs, which I think will be the more popular motors once they actually hit the market.
Yeah, once the battle starts, you know what I'm saying, and they start getting fast. That's when they're gonna break 100 right there. Is when they're look what I can do. Look what I can do better. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the one I'm most excited for is the Trinity, the double down motor. Yeah. They're sleeving the rotor, so it's a I don't think you're going to have the issue of the rotor coming apart like we are in the Castles. So I don't really know much about the McLaren one. I do know of 2 others, but I'm kind of sworn to secrecy. I can't really talk about them just yet, but they're coming. There's quite a few.
They got to stay on top of it. That's just, that's
exactly
the way it is, man. If you want to be on it, as it grows. That's one of the things about chassis and everything is you've seen in this year, you've seen a lot of things change, man, as things get faster. Bodies, you used to worry about being lighter and this, that, and other, and now you're worrying about bodies being stronger. You know what I mean? Because of the force of wind and everything. So it's just,
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, that's the thing. It's like, the chassis have to evolve just like everything else. And I know, like when things kind of first, the whole Castle, the 4-pole thing kind of kicked off, I had people, aren't you worried it's going to put you out of business? No. And my thoughts on it are actually pretty positive. I think that, I don't ever want to see a motor banned or anything like that. I think that, it presents a whole new set of challenges. I mean, there are weak points to this motor. It can blow up just like anything else. It needs maintenance just like anything else. But at the same time, it's a completely different style of doing things than what people have gotten used to. And it kind of harkens back from when I got started, because we were running higher turn motors that made more torque, and you could gear softer and go fast. Because we didn't have all the tire prep and everything. We were essentially, cleaning the tires with Simple Green or some sort of conditioner, and then we race. We had to use torque, and now we're back to torque versus 100,000 RPMs. And I've said that for years, is use the torque to if you know where your torque range is, you're going to go fast. And that kind of got away with that, with, some of the guys on the West Coast and everything. And, everyone suddenly needed 100,000 RPMs. You don't need it. And Castle just proved that. Absolutely just proved that. What I would like to see is, with people kind of revisit some of the higher turn motors, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7-turn motors. Because essentially, if you look at KV, the Castle is a 7-turn motor. So if you build a 7-turn motor or a 6-turn or whatever with a big, strong monster of a rotor in it, you're going to have similar gearing, and you'll have more timing to play with. So I don't think 2-pole's dead. I think it's just not the fad right now.
Let's see. I was trying to read some of these questions and comments. I do have a question, and I know we discussed it last night a little bit. What got you into doing the motors, the tires?
Oh boy. So it's kind of a long drawn story. So I'm going to kind of cliff notes it.
There you go.
I like most people in 2020 got laid off. Pandemic, kind of killed the business I was in, which was also brewing beer. And if people aren't going to the bar to drink, guess what? I didn't have anything to do. But I've done RC stuff for years and years and years. And actually, just before everything kind of went belly up, one of my customers, for building custom crawlers was like, you need to try this no prep stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I built one, and, like this. And then I had no, the world shut down. Had no place to go race, or compete or anything except for parking lots. And that's what became the next big thing. Just like, so just start, the Arrow was just coming out. So I got that, and got to I became friends with James Dibbs. And, we bounced off each other for a long time. We both switched to R1 ESCs around the same time and helped each other out. And, it kind of just one thing led to another. He was actually provided a car, an undercover car that we affectionately call the Hammer. And he was having problems with it. I'm like, I got nothing better to do. I'm sitting on my ass here at home, because, send it up to me. I'll mess with it, because one thing I knew was, like chassis dynamics and everything from the real world, as well as, competition crawling. So weight and everything. So went through it. And so that's kind of, like me and him got going. But at the same time, you couldn't get motors anywhere, at the time. Everything was out of stock. And I turned to what I thought at the time was a reputable motor tuner builder, and got burnt pretty bad. So I ended up having to rebuild, my own stuff that I paid extra for myself. And and while I was working on Dib stuff, had motor problems, ended up having to rebuild it, and just, and once he got everything back, he's just like, man, he goes, you need to start charging for this. I'm like, well, and just, I sat down and Kara, who's my, my better half, is she's by trade a banker. So she understands the business and money aspect of things. And I sat down, I'm like, I'm thinking about doing this. And she goes, you want to do what? So, and once we, kind of formed a little bit of game plan, went for it, and started. A lot of the local guys were some of the first people to, have me work on their stuff. And it started off more as cleaning and maintenance on motors, and then got my first dyno and some other equipment. And it really started taking off right before King of the Streets in 2021, over the winter of 2020 and 21, where, everyone was looking for a little bit of an edge. And, Cody Offenbacher reached out, and, to do a motor for King of the Streets, as well as Jasmine Hernandez. And at the time, it's like you didn't realize how popular they are, and it was just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, no problem, and this is what it's going to cost and everything. And then it started multiplying, and it's just it's been kind of got an upward slope ever since. And late last year, as tire prep and everything started, I'm a dry tire guy. I like dry tire racing. It's not, to me, it's not about how fast you can go. It's the challenge of it and everything. It's fun. You can talk crap and put your car down. Let's go. And that's to me, that's a lot of fun. But as we started going back to work, a regular job, there's also time involved and everything. So it was just one of those things where I knew at some point that the motors were they're going to change, and we're seeing that. But I also knew that you only have so much time in the day, and I take forever as it is, because I'm one person. I'm very meticulous. And some of the things that I do that are to motors that nobody else is doing, it just, I'm only one person, and there's just only so much time between, trying to have a family life, work a full-time job, and this, and try to have time to relax, which we don't have much of that anymore. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I need to take a step, figure out, something that can actually make a little more passive income, and give me some more breathing room. So I'm not having to grind to be able to have budget to actually operate, because I don't have any credit cards or anything like this. There's no line of credit at the bank. Everything is sales generated in terms of, if I need hardware, bearings, screws, and everything, that's dependent on motor sales. So there needs to be another product. And right about that time is when Grits, and I had a conversation, and, he, and I never even thought about tires, and all of a sudden it was just a light bulb went off, because I know someone who's been in the tire business for years. And so when I reached out and said, what, this is what I'm thinking, what advice would you have? And we had a nice long conversation that turned into, a good working relationship as well. So, and it's just steadily, here we are.
That's awesome. We definitely got to thank Grits.
That is awesome. Hey guys, how you doing?
All right, bud. How are you, man?
How are
you? Not too bad. I snuck in on you here. I've been listening to this whole thing, and Mark, what you're doing with these tires, man, I commend you.
Thank you.
That's an undertaking in itself. I can't imagine the hours and probably troubles and trials and tribulations you guys went through in this, but that is an awesome thing that you guys are doing. And the two-piece belt design, like you were saying, if one does let go, the other one should have slowed the momentum enough to be able to hold it, basically.
That's the plan. Obviously, and the thing is we were hoping that in testing that we'd break one, and we haven't broke a belt yet.
Well,
but we've also found, and where's I do have a cross section of the tire here, and I'll try to line it up on the screen so you guys can see it. Is we found that the belt's actually in the wrong place, and we were kept it because the center is like hard, so it's on a textured surface. We're not getting the bite that we hoped, and there's like, man, can we make the belt thinner or whatever? So the belt's really thin, but we found that it's on the inside where they mismeasured off of the engineering drawing. They put it on the wrong side of the plane. So we're fixing that, and what it basically comes down to is made the center of the tire 1.5 millimeters too thick.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, well, yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense, and so we're in the process of fixing that, and we're exploring better ways. So we're going to actually widen the belt up as well.
Okay. Are you going to bring it around the edge, kind of around to the sidewall it's at, or
we're looking at it, but the thing is there's actually in the way the tire is, and if I can flip, it can't really show it. It does, without bringing up an engineering drawing. But there's actually, it's the transition, which is normally just kind of a curve.
Right.
Ours does that. It's got a ridge in it. And what that does is, as let's say you get sideways, the car drifts, and it loads up the tire. Instead of the tire just folding under, it changes the way the sidewall does, and that transition becomes drivable surface.
Right.
So
I mean, I'm understanding what you're saying. Yeah, that's a lot of thought definitely went into that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's a lot of little tiny details that they're almost not worth mentioning, but we thought about them. I mean, even the way the glue, like when you're gluing the tires up, we designed the bead to where it spreads the glue a certain way. As it gets compressed versus it just pushing, like squirting. It's actually slightly channeled a little bit to where it gives there's more glue surface area on the outer beads of the rim. Well, so
once again, I mean, look, I've not been in this stuff a whole long time, right? I've only been in it this is my second full year of doing it, and this year I haven't really been racing as much as I'd like to.
Me either.
But things happen, right?
Exactly.
But from just being around this short time, I mean, I've always heard of your motors out there. Hear someone talking about them. I mean, I'm in the Dayton, Ohio area. I mean, actually, middle, almost out by Columbus right now. So your name was already a stable in this industry, I guess, in my opinion. Just for doing the motors and such, like you've been doing for such a while. So stepping into the tire game, I mean, only big things to come, man.
Yeah, and I get that a lot. Like, wait a minute, you do motors with the tires.
Right.
I do get that a lot, and it's just like, well, the things got to evolve, and so does business. And if there's things that it's like I don't want to get into some of the other reasons, but at the same time it's like I'll just say I don't like not being able to get a good tire. It's like if you might get one, come on.
I agree exponentially on that.
So
funny thing is, I'm actually going to be acquiring my first set of said unicorns here probably tomorrow. So it's going to be the first time, and they've been out for a long time,
Yeah.
I was happy with what I was running tire wise and stuff. I'm obviously not, I guess you could say, Frank Fast or anything of that nature.
Me either. I don't, and that's the thing. It's like, being on the motor side and everything, you do get that, like, well, if I spend all this money, I'm gonna run 1.7, right? I'm a 1.6. I'm like, no,
there's a lot more to this.
There's so much more to it, and and nowadays there's a good percentage of our populace that they want to be part of the end result versus the process to get there. And that's then from a being in the sport, it's like you see so many people that work so hard and grind and and it shows. Right. And and the thing is you also on the same token you get guys that work hard and they they just enjoy every second of it. It's like even when they're frustrated, they're still enjoying what they're doing. Right. I mean, you look at guys like Cody and Josh, Jay Joseph, those guys are the ones that come to mind. It's like they're just they've got this energy about them. It's like no one's trying to be better than anybody else. It's like those are the guys that make you want to work harder because of that positivity that they throw out there.
And that's the truth. Like I said, even though I haven't been out and hitting a bunch of races up this year, I'm fortunate enough to have a pretty decent road in front of the house. Mm-hmm. And I mean, over the past few months, I mean, I've wore it out I mean, I have prep, 30 feet down the road and stuff with 2 nice little black marks, and so
There you go.
it's actually helped me learn to where the power application needs to be. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If I could only dedicate that much time, as much time as them gentlemen do,
Oh yeah.
I would be.
I used to be able to, but now between full-time job and everything, it gets pretty. It's and when I'm not, it's one of those things to where it's like the last time that was able to even attend a race was over the winter over in Indiana, NWI at the indoor track, and I kind of made a fool of myself. It just it's like, man, it's testing a brand new car. Things weren't going right, but I'd show up and people knew I were coming, and they're like, "Can you work on this?" It's like, yeah, let me get set up. Give me a half hour, okay? And they just stand there and wait as you're setting up. It's like, guys, please,
That's, I guess, one of those perks to being famous in
I'm not, no, not famous, not famous.
You have people waiting for you.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't. This is the first live feed I've done ever. Just because it's like I try to be in the background.
Right.
It's like I've got what I need to do, and if I'm helping out someone, great. If and that's kind of how the business has grown. I don't advertise much. I don't want to be a personality per se. I just wanted the work to speak for itself. And that's the big thing for me is I don't necessarily need any sort of attention. I just let people see the sticker on someone's car.
Right. And once again, like I said, your name's all over the place. And you've got a great, I guess, repertoire and background in this stuff, and
I appreciate that.
Well,
absolutely.
I appreciate you guys. Really
and the name, everybody in the business knows the name, and that's quality. You know what I mean? So that says something on its own right there.
It really does. It really does.
That's why I'm ready for some tires.
I'm ready for some too, So I want some finished ones. But like all the good compounds I sent to other people, just because I know I don't have the time to. So I've actually been playing more with the harder compounds and doing a lot of dissecting, and then soaking them in various different conditioners and stuff like that. See how they react, and different types of cleaners, which is every bit as important as developing a fast tire as a tire that you can actually clean and use chemicals on so it doesn't blister or boil or whatever.
I mean, I've had a few sets here and there of certain said, and man, they would just I'd get some good passes out of them, but they don't last very long. And that's important. Again, it's like I said earlier that the cost, it's not just buying the tires, it's how much can you get out of them. And to me that's important, because let's face it, the vast customer base isn't the big names that are out there, the Franks, the Marks, exactly.
They're actually a very small percentage of what the sport is. And let's face it, a lot of people that are getting into it or even racing more at a grassroots or local level, they're going to be much harder on a product than the guy racing at the top.
Yeah.
They're learning much the way, we did, a couple of years ago. Or, they're, I hate to use the term, they're just not as good at it, but they're having fun.
Right.
They don't need to be discouraged by, parts failures and worn out tires. And, if you make something more robust, and I look at that with motors too. I try to make them to where they're pretty forgiving.
Right.
Because let's face it, we break, spur gears, axles, whatever, and those motors like to zing up to 180,000 RPMs. You want it to survive as best as it can. So when I first started doing it, it was just like, okay, I know you use terrible batteries. You know, I don't like spending money on batteries. Let's face it. So, so I knew that voltage drop was an issue. So I was like, okay, well, if I know that I'm doing it, so other people are. So if I can make the most efficient and powerful motor, knowing that, what's the motor going to be when someone does put a big battery in it?
Yeah.
That was kind of, you know, everything with me and motors is friction, trying to reduce as much friction as possible,
and
making it efficient more so than just raw power. I learned that real quick.
You thinking ahead to that next level as far as, I guess, user capabilities, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that saved more than hundreds of guys ESCs for asking too much out of certain things here and there, you know.
Yeah, I would hope so. But I mean, you know, I know, and I can't, you know, and I won't ever make that guarantee, you know, because
but just you went to that next level to think of that and kind of tune it to that efficiency, to where you know now they do get their new battery, same motor, and it's a whole new beast. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, you know, there's a lot on the motor side that, you know, I know that I'm very much into, you know, like I said, friction and the reduction of friction. You know, if you can take a motor, put it on a modalizer, analyzer, you know, right off the bat, stock, and see where sort of amp draw, and you can go through the inside of that motor and set it right back to the same timing, with the same rotor, and cut it down by a couple, you know, amps of measured current. That's huge. And if you can gain kV at the same time, yes.
Right. That's cool. See, that's a little foreign to me. I've not delved into motorizers or anything of that nature, right? And that's where, once again, the pros, some of these little tips, man, you're putting out there. That's a great thing.
You know, and one thing I do want to, you know, touch base on, because I get asked a lot, is how much of a rivalry is there between guys like me, Tom Rockwell, Nick Bell, and the fact is like, you know, I one of the people that I looked up to, like in terms of their data and everything that they provided to their customers, was Tom. I barely had a chance to talk to him in Tulsa, unfortunately. You know, what things that happened there just kind of prevented us from able to sit down and have a nice conversation. But you know, for the most part, the way I look at it is, if I give advice to anybody that's thinking about going to a motor tuner, get to know them, take the time, have a conversation. I may, you know, that's the thing. It's like, you may talk to me and be like, I don't like this guy. This guy, you know, he takes too long, or he's too expensive, or whatever. And I get that. You know, I think that you have to have a relationship with the people that are working on your equipment, or providing. That's really big.
Just the same as big car stuff. I mean, I'd like to know the guy building my motor also.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is you just may find that someone fits a very specific aspect of what you're looking for, and it may just even be personality. You know, like the fact if you can have a conversation with someone, that's awesome. You know, and that's the reason why you support. And the thing is, you know, we're all small businesses, and you know, it's a pretty big pie, and we all got tiny slices of it. You know, I think that be understanding that, you know, we don't have big corporate offices. You know, we're all working either out of spare bedrooms, garages, in my case, a back porch. You know, and we don't have big budgets, you know, for the most part. You know, some may be bigger than others, but that's, you know, that's just kind of, we do it to be more so because we enjoy it. You know, I don't ever think I'm going to retire on working on motors. You know? But the thing is it's like, I've got a really great customer base, and they've been exceptionally patient when I get bogged down with, you know, life and, you know, I mean, it happens, and everybody's been great. You know, and I know that I've gained and lost customers to other tuners. Well, so, and that's just hey, that's how it goes. And you know,
people are changing, jumping ship every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's to be expected. But for those one or two that go the other way, then you're still going to gain another couple irregardless.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would hope so anyways.
Right.
But yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. What's up?
Yeah.
What you got?
Sean South says Mark is correct, and why I do the Castle bills, I do them for the reliability, dropping amp draw by 1 to 1.5 amp less.
There it is. Hey, are y'all going to redemption this year, both of y'all?
It doesn't look like at this point. We've kind of sat down and looked at the tire development and budget and everything, and I think that Tulsa was going to be it for me this year. You know, I want to get out to Wisconsin here coming up, but it's just not looking good. You know, with this is my kind of the in terms of sales and everything, this is a slow time of the year, and then when you figure in the green monster taking away a lot of sales, it's with the tire development, it's just like it's better to kind of really put the budget towards that to release a better product rather than we're hoping to have a we were actually hoping to debut the tires in Tulsa, and we had some production delays and some COVID delays, and it's one of those things to where just we sat down and said it probably race sponsorship and travel is probably going to be pretty limited for the remainder of the year for me.
Midwest RC said, oh, where'd it go? I do my tires out of my bathroom. LOL. Wife hates it, but whenever it gets it off the kitchen table, LOL.
I got a couple guys that jumped in. I want to say hey to. One's Gary Campbell, Straight Line Spoilers. Then my other
What's up,
buddy,
Gary?
Charlie G. He's a Cincy NPRC administrator, and they're excited to be a part of this stuff, guys. They are. So
yeah, well, like I said, I'm glad to have you on board, man. We wanting to get more people around the nation to show, in case their areas, their stuff, man. Because that's like I said, the big races are fun. Don't get me wrong, but I still enjoy going to the mid-size races, the small races where you meet people for the first time, and you know what I'm saying. If there's a kid out there that's gonna make his first run and I can videotape it, it made my year. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Awesome.
I got a question on that. Have you guys seen much fall off in terms of participation at a local level?
Well, I mean, we have in my area, okay, I would say within an hour and a half direction, any which way for me, I have, I think 5 or 6 clubs I can race with. All right. And that goes all the way from Dayton, Ohio area, Cincinnati, Columbus, Lancaster, which is a little further east, up to Mansfield. Covers quite a broad area. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got their solid guys, of course. I did notice that some things fell away a little bit, but I think the hype's getting put back in it again. You're getting, there's different groups doing different things to help get these younger drivers and the new drivers into this stuff, let them get an understanding of it, and then, because when I jumped in, I had not a clue. I went from a stock DR10 to, hey, I'm throwing a 3-turn in with a hobby wing and it's not living type of stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But me being a competitor, that never deterred me, but it did frustrate me. But I do see that our attendances in these local races in the area is starting to come back up.
Okay.
And that's another thing. These guys around here, they put in time. There's a lot of them that really do grind. There's a lot of them that are really fast around here. So they deserve the recognition,
Yeah, and the ones that put these groups together, they need to be patted on the back, because if they didn't do it, they didn't have somewhere to race. We got upstate 803 in South Carolina, and then we got a bunch in North Carolina,
Rock
Georgia.
Hill.
Yeah, we got Georgia. Has got North Georgia and a couple in Georgia, and then Florida's 8 up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's everywhere in Florida.
I mean, we get winter here in Ohio, so our racing season's cut short, right?
Yeah.
that was
the reason why I asked is okay, our local group, which had a really good race program. Again, I think part of it also is they were hardcore dry tire, and some people I can't prep, and they didn't want it kind of fall off, but they got burnt out. The guys is Mike and Jeff Hoyle were the guys that were running ours, and they had a great program. Races went very quick. We got a lot of racing in a day, and we had people, Cody actually came out once. Zippy and Grits came out a couple times, and the takeaway was we've done more racing in one day than an entire weekend. Because we ran, and actually Midwest RC, Tim Barth, he came out for a while. I know it was a bit of a drive for him, and he can attest to how fast paced we were. It was but at the same time, it's it just, those guys just got burnt out from it, and just got tired. They wanted me to take, and I'm I don't want to get stuck doing it by myself, because I've got 90 other things going on. It's so difficult, but
what I really think kind of cut attendance and things like that out for a little while is I guess everything with the evolution of it. I mean, this stuff is growing so quick every day.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody, I don't know, there was attitudes in it.
Yes.
More or less. I mean, to where I noticed it personally. That's not anything that would ever bother me. But you would see it that there were guys that they had a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
So but everybody's opinion is welcome, whether or not you value it or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I do think it, in the camaraderie, it kind of, everything got a little secretive and a little, cliquey almost. So that it didn't help bring anybody else in.
No.
When everything was kind of sitting in that little time, and I think that was part of the problem. And getting stuff out here like this, I think we're gonna be able to help. People out
exactly.
There,
I myself would like to see even more, area top 10 lists.
of course.
And
that's
a big deal to me. It's you're not racing for money; you're racing to be the man or woman.
Right.
And and there really is no way to combine that, to where it's okay, if let's say it's Ohio and Michigan, we all had our different areas and all had top 10 lists. Well, if you took the top 2 or 3 from every list and had a shootout,
that'd be a good race.
I mean, come on, and then, because at that point it's not about money, but you could, once you have all that,
now
those are the qualifiers to put some in, and I even trying to, egg the guys on to continue racing this year. I was just DragWorx, I'll put up 500 for the top 10, or the number 1 spot at the end of the year.
Right.
But they're just we're just burnt out.
Yeah.
So it's, it is what it is.
It's tough work, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It is. There's a
takes
lot
more time than I got. That's for sure.
And patience too. I'm sure that's where I'm at with it, the patience level. But yeah, I think I do know a couple groups are doing this pretty cool little setup. It's getting some young ones in. It's a VXL class, cut and dry. Throw it on anything, and these little kids are out there enjoying it and beating adults and having the best time in their lives.
Absolutely.
And that right there in itself if that don't make you smile at what's going on, you know,
you're in the wrong thing. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That is right, completely.
And I think that I think that there's room for another fast class.
I'm not. I to say about the classes myself. You know,
But you know, the beginner class to me, man, needs to be what we were. Make it a tub class. Make it where it can only be 3D printed parts. You know what I'm saying, to upgrade it. But just like we started, you can't have no carbon fiber, none of that shit, and that'll get them to turn it. You know what I mean?
Here's kind of what I'm thinking is like, okay, we've gone to the point where the cars have gotten so fast that, you know, there's certain things to where it's just, you got to have a certain style of body. You have to have, now it's floating body mounts, you know, you got to have this gigantic battery and everything. Okay. Let's look at it as, why not have an actual door slammer class to where you can run whatever motor you want, but you have, you know, you limit the minimum height of the front tire so you can't slam the front of the body down. No pro mod bodies. Limit the rear wing, and then just say you got to run a 2-cell roar proof pack. You can run whatever motor you want.
I mean,
done. You know, it's simple. It's easy, and it's also easy to tech. You know, and that's a big thing. It's like, you know, with motor classes, and as a motor guy, I can tell you firsthand the amount of money that 13.5 racers and these 17.5 racers will spend is astronomical. They're spending more. They're willing to spend more money than any outlaw guy.
Right.
Hands down. And
fast,
it's ridiculous.
13.5 cars. I've seen down in Kentucky, I seen 230s with a 13.5 car last year. You know, crazy fast. I mean,
you know, and then we find that, you know, some of the 13.5s aren't 13.5s because they're not even really teching. It just has to say 13.5 on it.
Right.
Okay. I got a laser etcher. Let's put a 3-turn in there and just put 13.5 on it. I mean, come on, just give me a break.
Right.
You know, that's why I say it's like, if you really want to limit spending and the not necessarily the speed, do it with aero and do it with the battery. The battery is where we're seeing a lot of the speed coming from, or just how awesome the batteries have gotten. Right. And that's not I don't want to take away from any battery manufacturer or any, you know, one running a certain battery. But let's be honest. The technology jump in the last year for batteries, even this year, is right up there with everything else. I mean, it is mind-boggling how incredible the batteries have gotten. So, and that's partly, you know, the reason why we are able to see the speeds and times that we're seeing. And so if you really want to limit something, you know, you said you've seen 2 3s out of a 13.5. Well, if they spent the same amount of time and money in a 6-turn, they'd be running 1.7s. You know, that's what I'm getting at. You know,
right.
You know. So, but if you you actually put a roar pack in a hard cell, or, you know, a hard case 2-cell pack, it's going to force people to, you know, it's not who cares about the motor at that point, because you can still run whatever you want.
Right.
And if it's shaped like a brick, well, guess what? Hey, you're gonna figure out how to make your car work. And our top 10 last year, I've got on the list by accident, running a J Concepts Falcon body with essentially a stock 22S.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had a good motor in it, good speed control. But the thing is like, it probably would have contended for the number 1 spot against everyone running, you know, Vets and Shark bodies. Here it is, a brick. You know, but I wrecked. You know, the car was all bent up, and I still managed to hold on to, you know, number 3 spot at the end. You know, but it's like I got stuck on the list. I couldn't change my chassis. I couldn't change my body.
Right.
Guess what? I had to figure out how to make that 22S work, and just, you know, push through the air. So, and to me, that was like, you know, suddenly it was invigorating. It was this new challenge. So we're like, okay, I'm stuck. We got to make this work. You know.
Right.
And so there you go. And I loved it, man. I had more fun with that than trying to run my Aero or anything, something, the vet body.
Right.
It was difficult, but at the same time, to see how fast, the car got, and it was a brick essentially. It's like, wait a minute here, this is fun.
Right.
So yeah, that was a good time. And I'd love to see more racing like that, to where you've got to look at more of the chassis and then just tire prep and aero and how big your battery is.
Right.
Let's get back to what we used to do.
Yep, having a good time. That's right.
Yep, exactly.
That's right, having a blast.
Good deal, man.
Well, speaking of racing, Chris, I believe you have some Ohio information for us.
Man, I've put together some notes over the last couple of days from all the groups around. I'm even partial to a group of guys up in Michigan area, up by the Pontiac area. I know they had a pretty decent race over the weekend and stuff, and that's something that I want to cover. They're a good bunch of guys, and I mean, there for a while, their scene kind of died off, and they got it back. So congrats to those guys up there, for sure. But I mean, just sitting and looking at all my notes here, I'm counting 1, 6, 8. This is just in 1 week, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll keep it here in Ohio. I'm looking at like 10 or 12 races just going on in this last week in Ohio.
That's awesome.
Right? I mean, you have your diehards that they raced out through the week, right? Great group of guys, and all of them are fast. So, all right, first group that I'm going to cover, NPRC Ohio 937. All right. A lot of great guys in there. Brandon Golay, administrator. Scott Davis, administrator. These guys, like I said, die hard. They don't care what the weather's like. I mean, it could be 30 degrees and we're racing, guys. So let's see. On Tuesday, June 28th, these guys had a race. Heard it was a pretty good turnout. They race a little later in the evenings and stuff. Sometimes that's harder for some people to do. And other people, if they're able to, man, I'm glad that they're getting out and racing. But we had that Tuesday race. We had Willie Holly. He's a team straight line driver. Awesome dude. Very helpful for everything. He came in first place. And then we had Brandon Golay come in second place. Brandon Golay, he won, or he was second place at King of the Smokies last year, here from Ohio. Fast guy, very knowledgeable, helps out. He puts on a heck of a race too. And I have another announcement to make about that here really soon myself. And then it looks like these guys threw a race together on July 3rd on Sunday. And now we had Willie Holly in attendance again. He took first place. And then we got Brandon Golay coming in second place. Congratulations, guys. I mean, you guys are basically the guys to aim for in our area, and that's the truth. But with that being said, there's a race coming up this Saturday with the 937. Let me touch base on that here in a second. I'm going to go over a couple other groups here. My next group is going to be Cincinnati NPRC. I believe you have Charlie Gutneck as administrator, and then you have Doan. Joey Doan is administrator also. These guys, they try to do a race every Friday night. All right. You go down there. They have a nice little facility. It's just for us. You don't have to worry about traffic, anything of that nature. They have a BB Roadrunner tree that they use. So that thing, it works. Let me tell you guys, it's a pretty slick little apparatus. It's super simple. We don't need to all know our times, but you guys have GNSs. You still get to learn it and go from there. But it's a simple, takes the human error out of the whole equation, takes the cameras out of the finish line. It's a great little operation. But to touch on their race that they had Friday, July 1st. All right. Usually they have a pretty good turnout of guys, 15, 20 plus around that area. Now, Friday there, we had a giant slade. My buddy Charlie G, he ended up taking first in the outlaw down there over top of Willie Holly. Willie Holly came in second place. Congratulations, guys. I heard it went down to the final 3 races. So that's awesome in itself, just to have good racing like that. The second thing I want to talk about with these guys down here at Cincy NPRC, they do a VXL class. Okay. Charlie's son, he's 9 years old. He's got a car. I know for the last 5 weeks in a row, this kid has taken first place at 9 weeks old or 9 years old. I mean, he's been beating up the adults so bad. But he finally actually took his first loss in it. And it was a matter of time, but he held on strong for that whole long time. We had a gentleman named Randy King. He came in first place in the VXL. And then Joseph Gutneck, he came in second place. So big shout out to 9-year-old Joseph. They have some pictures up of him on their page. So if you go check it out and give him a like. And he's definitely in it. He's serious about it. And it's pretty cool. All right. Another group I'm going to touch base on is 614 RC No Prep. These guys are out of the Columbus area. They usually try to do races in the week due to the fact that some of the guys are only in town for the week and leave to go back home on the weekends for, obviously they're off work at that moment. Great group of dudes. You have Oscar Van Sheets, and then you have Josh Duncan, I believe, that are 2 of the top guys in that group. And they've been getting hammered by the rain. Okay, it seems like for the last couple weeks, it's only rained on Wednesdays for them, unfortunately. But I do know that whole group of guys, they get out, they do testing, they come to other races. So it's just a little hiatus. And I also caught some great news for them. They found another spot that they're going to be racing at, and it actually has both a concrete surface and an asphalt surface on. So be prepared, guys. We're going to have some 614 races to go to here real soon. And then we'll get everybody in that area a little showcase on this also. Next group we have 740 NPRC. The admin of this group is Cody McKenzie. He got handed the group, took it over, and from what I've seen, he's done a pretty good job about it. He was actually the Point Series Race Club here in Ohio for the NPRC Point Series there. And it looks like, I believe he got them all off. I know he was bouting with some weather here and there too. But the 740 group of guys, I mean, you have Willie Holly, that's the giant, and he comes out of that group. Okay. He lives in that area, and him and his teammate, Heath Flessler and Scott Davis, all 3 of those guys, man, they're fast. They definitely are. So when you see them show up to a race, you can always expect it, no matter where in Ohio. They're coming to race. So when they get there, it's going to be fast, man. So that's just something great. I know that I believe 740, they're racing this evening. So I'll hope to get all the details from them, and we'll get that all showcased for next week's show, possibly here. Another group I want to promote here. It's actually not a group. It's a place. It's a place to race. It's called the Ohio RC Factory. Gentleman named Kurt Schlichter. He owns the place, and they have indoor tracks, indoor dirt track, outdoor dirt track. I mean, he's puts on a lot of races. He has been an off-road guy for years and years and years. He has indoor 66 foot. Okay. And it's no prep surface. It's smooth concrete. most of the guys in the wintertime, well, that's where we go. This is when we got snow on the ground. We know we can race there. It's got a timing system, and we have a blast there. But he's still with everything that he does. He'll hold a drag race while having open club racing out in the dirt track. So he's there at the track and working most of the time. But they end up having, I believe, 2 races weekend, one on a Friday and one on a Sunday. And going to shout out for Kurt. He's fast. He's a fast guy. Kurt Schlichter takes first place. And then I'm not sure who the gentleman was on their Friday race, but in the second race on the Sunday, Kurt came in first again. And then we had Randy Kilbarger in second place. They race, guys. And the great thing about it is you can go down there with anything you want, get some knowledge on something from someone in the building, guaranteed. They have, excuse me, they have an RC shop on site that carries so many products that you would need on a race day. You would be amazed. So it's a great place to go, great group of guys. And yeah, once again, that's the Ohio RC Factory. All right. Now, what I want to cover here, we're going to stretch our legs a little bit. I'm going to get a little further away from the hour and a half around me. But I do want to give a huge shout out to the 419 NPRC group up there out of Maumee, Ohio. They had a great big race up there. Their facility's awesome. I've been up there personally. Sometimes the curb looks a little intimidating, but that place has had the fastest time in all of NPRC. That track right there. People said it was a prep track. It's not, I can attest. It is a road and a fairground. and I think Lindsay May ran a 1.50 there. So kudos just for the facility in itself, guys. They have a big timing system. All right. They usually do a weekly club race from what I can tell here. They have guys going up and doing test and tune sessions all the time. Let's see. Administrators, I believe it's Erica Del Grosso, Anthony Del Grosso, Chris Castle Sr., I believe. If I'm forgetting anybody, just yeah, let me know. Sorry. I'm trying my best here, guys. But okay, like I said, they have their timing system set up every race that they do for the club. All right. From what I can see, they have a good turnout every week. You'll have guys from down in this part of the state just go up there, which it's 2 hours and 30 to 2 hours 45 for me, around that. Because I'm kind of in the country and have to country road it up there. But you got a lot of guys just going up there to race for the weekend because they're a great group of people to race with. They run an outlaw class. They run a 13.5 class also. So let's get on with that. I want to do a big congrats to Chris Castle. I heard he just switched over to a different chassis this past weekend. And he came in first place for their outlaw race. And then you have a gentleman named Jim Bronson in second place in the outlaw race. Going to move to the 13.5 real quick. You have first place is David Brown. And second place is Gene Greer. I do know one thing is in their 13.5 scene up there, I've seen these gentlemen's names been put out there a lot. Okay. Few little things to go off with that group. They have the second annual Fall Classic coming up. That's going to be September 17th. It's going to be a good one. I'm planning on that race myself. Looks like I'm only going to do 2 races this year, but I have that one and another big one in mind here coming up towards the end of the year. So, yeah, I can't wait to go up to that race. It was a great time the last time. Another cool thing about 419 group, is there's a gentleman named Jeff Zuccarello, Mr. Get Stuck. The trophy that he made for Lindsay May, I'm sure everybody all over the internet had probably seen it. It's in a metal American flag, and it was kind of shredded. It was the coolest trophy I think I've seen today across the country. In all seriousness, it was pretty freaking cool. So that right there is covering my Ohio guys. Now, here's where we get into this one's a tad bit lengthy, but I'll try and cliff note it for you. On July 2nd, we had what was called Zubac's Lights Out, and that's with the RC Outlaw Kings up there. Okay. I think Zubac speaks for itself with the Zubac Speed Wash and Speed Lube. Everybody knows this guy. He's a heck of a nice guy. I met him early last year, actually at a 740 race, and we've been in correspondence ever since. So he's a great guy. Now, with that being said, the group up there is just kind of getting back into it. Okay, they lost a little hype, but now we have a group of solid guys that I feel that they're going to make it go somewhere and bring the scene back up there. Now, back in the day, I had guys from the Detroit area come down to Dayton area to race. And I know that we actually had an Ohio-Michigan race that was actually pretty cool. I think we had 10 drivers from either side, I believe. And all the people from Ohio went up to Michigan, and they had a heck of a time. It was a great race, right? So I'm ecstatic that they're getting back into the things. Now John, he wanted this race to be something special for those guys up there. So I want to add a few things. I mean, he took it upon himself. Heck, the guy ended up buying 15 pizzas for everyone. Okay. He put money in on the race himself to the winner. He might have had a cooler full of adult beverages also for anyone 21 and older to partake in.
Knowing John, yeah, I'm guessing he did.
So he, I feel that he went above and beyond doing what he did. The guy, super knowledgeable in this stuff, and I love his opinions. He's a pretty nice guy to talk to. Now, they race at a place called Lincoln Park Community Center, okay? It's a concrete setup, so concrete track, able to put the power down. John did a couple other things, just for having everybody at the race. He did a GTO body giveaway to the 13.5 racers, all right? And basically how he did that was everyone entered in the 13.5. He threw the chips back in, let everybody pick a chip, and he had a number wrote down in the notebook. So after the chips were pulled, he opens it. Bang, you got you a 13.5 body, whether or not you went out first round or second round, didn't have to be the winner to get that. And that's awesome in itself too. Let's see. Oh, also at the drivers meeting, John being John, he's giving away bottles of the speed wash and things like that. He had a little gift package, he said, to give to everybody, just to thank him once again for coming to the race. All right. Now, they did 2 races up there also. They did a outlaw race. They did a 13.5 race also. All right. And there was some heavy hitters there at that race. They were there from Michigan. They were there from Ohio. So it was good to see all the support that everybody was given. Now we had in the outlaw race, we had Mr. Jeff Zuccarello coming in first place, and he's fast, always is, always has been. And then you had Chris Castle Sr. And both of these guys are from the 419 group, and it was an awesome gesture that they did all this, showing their support. And also another great thing I heard about what they did was Erica Del Grosso. She came up there and told John that she was just going to put the race on. And that way it took some of the weight off of John's hands. She stepped up. She's really good at doing it. That's who does it normally there at the 419. So she's super efficient. She's comfortable doing it and puts on a great program. So, shout out for that happening right there, for a whole nother group come up and throw the race on for you. So that's awesome, right? That shows the camaraderie, guys. That's what I'm trying to go for here. Now, in their 13.5 class, you had 2 new winners, okay? And these new winners, first place was 11 years old, and second place was 9 years old, guys. All right, the first in the 13.5, 11 years old, his name, Hayden Ulbrich. If the name sounds familiar, it's because it's familiar. Okay. I heard that Frank was crew chief and Lindsay May was crew chief, and they were, they were both running the crew chief for this little guy, to where, hats off to you guys just in that. That's awesome. That means a lot. And then our second place finisher in the 13.5, her name was Bella Del Grosso. Okay, this is Erica's daughter. She's 9 years old. And from what I could tell, this is one of her first couple times being in the spotlight like this. And she ends up coming in with the second place, man. So that was awesome. That covers a lot of the stuff that's going on around here. I do have 2 little things to put out here real quick. 937 NPRC having a race Saturday. Okay, they're going to do it at the Huber Heights at Home store, their usual spot, the one that we race at weekly. The track, it's coming around very nicely. I was out there a few weeks ago, I believe, and you was able to put the power down. Okay, so one thing's guaranteed out there: you're going to have some fast times. You're going to meet some fast guys. I know we have support coming from south part of the state. And then surprise announcement, Mr. John Zubak himself is driving down from Michigan, and he is going to be attending this 937 race. So that was the little teaser. I kind of kept everybody on hold. But yeah, once again, John Zubak, he's going to come down. He's going to bring some product, and he said he's got a few things for us, and he's really excited that we're doing it. So it was on a whim. He said he didn't have nothing going on. So next thing you know, here we go. And then last but not least, last year we had this really cool race, and it was thrown on in conjunction with a no prep big car race. This is actually at National Trail Raceway. It's in Hebron, Ohio, little east of Columbus, but we're racing on the track. Okay. But the way that they work this is the starting line isn't at the starting line. They flip the track. So they make it the full no prep experience for the big cars that are going to race. Okay. Our pit spots were right in between where all the cars would have to come up and stage. So all of our canopies were basically like the barrier walls for all the cars to come through. It was awesome. I mean, I was a kid in a candy store with that. So that's going to be going on again. I believe it's here in August. I'll get an exact date on it. I know that the feeler was kind of put out just today. And I think that was a freaking awesome experience. I put up a few pictures myself, just to how many people were actually there. And the guys in the big cars coming up to check out my little toy car.
They're not toys.
There, he done did it now.
I mean, I was happy as a kid at Christmas, So that's all I kind of have for around the area for this week's news. I'm gonna try to put one of these together, hopefully weekly. I mean, hopefully this Saturday's race for the 937 turns out to be a banger. I'm pretty sure it's going to be, and I don't have any intentions of racing, but I'm going to go, guys. And the reason I'm going to go is we gotta show everybody what these guys do. Exactly. So I might want to pull a little bit of a live off here coming up Saturday.
Awesome.
So
we can do that.
Yep.
All right. Well,
you got all the power of my links now. So whatever you want to do, this is you now. You're part of the team now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm glad my wife's computer literate, and she's my IT department. So the questions I had for her, she hooked me up immediately.
Very good.
Awesome.
But yeah, like I said, that's all I got for this week. But we're gonna have some other things going on, just to showcase these dudes and all the work that they put on.
Jen Kinsell says NPRC photography will be at the race in the 937 on Saturday.
Yep, I seen that. And I see Gary Campbell up there too, so that's cool. It's kind of tough. This is the first time I've been on this format with a live, and so it's a little tough looking and reading at the comments and still talking to the camera.
I've been trying to catch up on comments while you've been scrolling. So.
Cool.
I do have a question that was asked way earlier. Okay. Mark and Chris, what is y'all's opinion? It was asked by Coach D. He wanted to know, there have been some influencers, YouTube influencers, that have been receiving products and giving their opinion on it by the sponsors. What is your opinion on that?
Chris, I'll let you go first on that one.
I mean, me being as unprofessional as I am,
we're gonna get along great, man.
It needs to be. I mean, you've got to have your R&D. You have to test things. Now, if they're letting it out on the YouTube, it might be a breach in contract. I don't know. There might be a legality behind it, but if they're doing that just to build anticipation, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have commercials with anything. You know what I mean? So even products, YouTubers, whatever they got, if they got a way to put it in front of somebody, and me of all people, we don't get paid to do nothing, but I enjoy calling out everybody's products, man, when I can. You know what I'm saying? Just to let everybody know what's out there, man, just so you can't miss it. So
right,
that's just part of it. Sometimes even when a product comes to you for free, doesn't mean that
doesn't mean it's going to work, right?
Right. You're still showing off the product. You know what I mean? You can take that with what he says with a grain of salt, but you get to look at it and talk about it, and it's in your head. So it's a commercial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way you look at it.
And that's very true. I mean, when I was doing product development, product testing, for a company, I tended to stay more on the very private side. So a lot of the stuff that I was working on and with was very pre-production. So it was laid out ahead of time. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. This is what you can talk about. This is if someone sees it, this is what, please, either A, please ask them not to take pictures, whatever. We know how well that works, but generally, from a product standpoint, and this day and age, the product influencers, which people watch them. They've created their I know, Gary. Of course you do. We'll talk later. We can do some swapping. But the thing is you got to get it in front of an audience, and unfortunately, nowadays it's YouTube, it's TikTok, it's that. So if you're gonna give it to an influencer, that they're gonna put it out there. That's what you expect your return on, and that generates sales. So in a way, I don't see a huge issue with it. I think it's just part of business nowadays. It's and it's not anything new. I mean, people who race since the dawn of time always would get, here, try this.
Of course.
Myself included.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people send me product, both to try out to see if I want to become a dealer or to post it online. Hey, I tried this out,
There you go.
Ew. Oh, mine's empty. No.
Oh, dang.
So I can't even push my own beer
drinking
right now.
water tonight, guys.
So, but no, I think it's just kind of a necessary evil. It is what it is, and at the end of the day, as difficult it is, especially like for me, I hate advertising. I hate, it's like I don't like sitting there making posts. Let's say look at what I do. I don't like that. It's not it's not what I'm about. But at the same time, it's going to come to the point where I do have a product to sell, and I need to make sure that it's handed to the right people that will, help promote it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
And that's kind of like we were talking about earlier, as far as all the products and all the stuff, is how big this hobby's growing sport. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people into it. So there's so many products. So there's room for everybody. So, that's the main thing is to show off everybody's product. You don't want to be, I call it sheep falling. You know what I'm saying? If somebody buys something and they win something with it, everybody's going to do the sheep thing and buy that one. Well,
yes.
Then 2 months down the road, somebody wins with something else, and then they sell all that and go to, instead of
and that is, I think, is one of the most, excuse the term, it's the most cancerous things about our sport.
Yeah,
is it everybody bandwagons. It at one point, it was pretty diverse, and then someone says you need an RX-8 with a 2.0. Guess what? All the motors I had on the shelf, worthless.
Yeah.
You couldn't give them away.
Right.
Then it became you need an R1 with a 3.0.
Yeah.
And you can't. And then we couldn't keep them in stock. You sold them hand over fist. And then now it's the 4-pole, the green monster effect. We're seeing the same thing. It's nothing new. Everybody's got to have it. But at the same time, like I had mentioned earlier, I think that the castle has kind of kicked open the door and hopefully has made people realize that you don't necessarily need the 100,000 RPM motors. Right. And one, I do want to comment on a comment that was made earlier by Buck Archer about the costs and inflations, and that is another thing that I as a guy who sells very expensive motors, I fully admit, I agree. I think that we have to work, at reducing costs and try to make it to a point where more people can stay racing. I should say get into racing, because we're already here. They need to stay racing. And if you got a motor that out of the box is $115 or $120, that can go out and actually, we've seen people compete on a very high level. Mm-hmm. And it's we'll come back to the torque and lower RPMs, to where you can gear to where it's softer, and you're going to have more people that suddenly it's easier to get faster. Right. And they stay racing. Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree that, as a brand and everything, that we do have a lot of customers that say money's no object. I just want to go fast. That's what that is a big attitude, and it's not necessarily the right attitude from a business standpoint. It's great because hey, I can make more money. However, everybody else tries to follow suit, and they go bankrupt and can't race anymore. And
they still ain't never going to be as fast. You know what I'm saying? They're never going to be as fast as the one they're trying to catch by using the same thing that they're using.
Exactly. And I do think that now we've seen that, it's like there's options that can keep people racing. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be the people that are going to want the best of everything, and God bless them, but at the same time, we have power that's accessible, and I myself am working on a product that can continue to use that power and keep the racing accessible. And I think that's a big deal. And to keep our sport healthy, we need to really look at it. And that goes across the board: batteries, motors, tires. And I think that's important. And we often lose sight of that when we start seeing guys racing for 20,000, 30,000, 10,000. When these big numbers are thrown out, no one thinks of it as the local level anymore, where you're running a top 10 list or racing for a couple $100.
When they take it for granted too, is when if you go to these races and watch these guys, just like Frank, y'all talking about earlier. Frank's, him, and they're fast. That's a fast family, but watch them. They work all the way through it. He is working. They watching everything, and that's the difference in it, man. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You could definitely see that at walking around in Tulsa. You could see the guys that they race and have fun and everything. You saw the people that work. And they stood out the way they work, and then you got the team aspect to some of these guys. It's not, that they're always helping each other, and which, that's amazing, but that you also have to remember that, okay, when you reach out to one of these faces and one of these teams and they, and ask for help, they're going to help you. A lot of times they will, but you also got to remember, you're not the only one asking for help. There's 100 other people. And they're they only have so much time to devote to you as needing help. They're not going to hand you everything. Because why give it? They're not going to give it all away, because then suddenly that takes money out of their pockets. Right. Let's be realistic. It's one thing to help, but it's another thing to hold hands. And none of us are going to out there hold hands. Right. But at the same time, you need help. There's always going to be someone there to help you. So just, people, I want to stress that point to people across the board that, there's a lot of, I see it a lot where people come up with their hand out, like give me. And it's just like, okay, why?
Right.
And I, with a lot of the guys that I sponsor and everything, they deal with it a lot. People, they win a race, and next thing you know, they got people asking for their tunes and their setup and everything that they've never even met before or talked to.
Right.
And it's like, there's more satisfaction on figuring out your setup to make it work, because me and you could have the same exact car. We could be running the same exact motor, the same tires, same body.
And something's going to be different.
Something's going to be different.
That's right.
The guy, then you got, guys that can build and set up cars. Mm-hmm. That can be identical. Cody and Josh, I'll throw them out there because they've got it down to a science.
Yeah.
Those guys could probably swap bodies and not realize it. That's how
they're tuned in. Yeah, they
are.
I've seen them. They're solid. They are solid.
And they make it look very, I don't want to say easy, but they're much more nonchalant about things that right. They're still having fun, and you don't see the work aspect of it from, like you're just on the outside looking in. And they were in our space at Tulsa, and to see them actually work away from, what you generally see, mm-hmm. They put on a clinic as well, and another guy I got to know pretty well, and we've got a lot of respect for recently is Bill Smashy.
Yeah.
That guy would give his, the shirt off his back,
yeah.
To help somebody. And when we got to Tulsa, the gentleman that I rode down there with is Marcelo Rick, and he hasn't been racing long, and immediately, Bill, Smashy, just he immediately helped. Didn't know him from anybody, and all weekend long, just they hit it off and got it good, awesome. And it's I can't say enough about that. It's awesome. And coming from back when we first started, being close with like Dibs, it's like it's one of those things where it's like we've got a good friendship. I don't care if he doesn't run one of my motors or tires or whatever. The first time something happens or whatever, the first phone call is usually Dibs, like, hey, you all right, or what's going on? It's like that's just it's friendship, and that's support, and sometimes that's irreplaceable.
And you hit the nail on the head with that right there, saying you don't care what he's running, if it's not yours or not. That's the same way I am. I mean, look, no matter about the prep wars, the motor wars, guys, you can run whatever you want. There's a million different ways to skin a cat.
Exactly.
And it's going to put us at the same location, hypothetically, at the end, right? No matter how we go about it. And
absolutely.
That's the cool thing about this.
Yeah. Well, learning. That's the, what I'm saying? You learn from every, that's like y'all were talking about a minute ago about when I first got into this, man, I started watching the 707. Y'all remember that, right? When Daniel Judd and all that, man. Well, I wanted to get fast. So I called Daniel and I'm like, dude, I want a car. I want you to build me a car. I don't care how much it costs, build me a car. So he built me one. And, he did his polishing and that son of a bitch would haul ass. But one thing about it is you still got to drive that son of a bitch. You know what I mean? It didn't do no good for me. That car was as quick as it could be, but I still lost just as much as I did before. And it took me tuning, you know what I'm saying, and learning how to do everything.
How far did it carry the front wheels?
Long ways.
Long ways.
Yeah.
We've come a long ways, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because it's amazing to look back at the first King of Streets car, the Ghost that Daniel had built for was it Ricky Bellotti?
Yeah, with a big old wing.
Oh, and the canards and everything. And they used to drive on the bar. It carried the front tires. That was fast.
Yeah.
And it was funny because me and Dibs are I'm like, no, we need to get the car on the ground and use the arrow.
Big car philosophy, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally different, and it's like and the funny thing is like we switched our one at the same time, like I had mentioned, and we actually spent we were testing. He was in Oklahoma and I'm in Michigan, and we were testing at the same time, shooting screenshots of our logs and tunes back and forth. I mean, we're talking hundreds over an afternoon.
Yeah.
We didn't have any tire prep. We were just making pass after pass after pass. And so he was getting real frustrated. I'm like, okay, come on. We don't hulk out. We've got to, you're starting from scratch. And then we started figuring out we got faster and faster and faster. That's cool. And about, I guess, I don't know, it was maybe a month or so later, I knew he was racing at Super Chip, which is the first Super Chip. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave you alone. Let me know how things go. And the next morning, he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, so how'd you do? He goes, oh, I won. I'm like, oh, you won, like what? You won a round, or? And he goes, no, I won the whole thing. and I'm like, wait, what? And then the phone's ringing. Keep in mind, it's like 5:45 in the morning, and he's an hour behind me, and he's like, yeah, I can't believe it. And
that is awesome.
And if you look over my shoulder, that silver car, or the body, that's the body from that race. That's Dibs's awesome. 2020 Super Chip body. So
that's cool.
It's one of those things to where it's just like, you got to be kidding me. You did it. So yeah.
Well, then he took redemption too. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, it's like he is. It's funny because he's all like my girlfriend Kara. She's just like always make sure you got to tell Dibs hi. You got like this, and then we it's like she said like when we were told, she goes, oh, I wish I was down there. I'm like, really? She goes, I'm not gonna hang out with you. I'm gonna go hang out with Dibs. And so it was like that's it shows that it's like sometimes you got friendships, but sometimes you gain family too.
Yeah,
and that's he's family to me. And like I said earlier, I don't care what chassis or what products or whatever. He's family.
Yeah,
and we had a long journey together, and we don't get to talk as much as we used to, but at the same time, it's, you know, when we do, it's usually 2 hours on the phone, and you know, like we just saw each other 5 minutes ago. So, but
See,
yeah,
that's great.
That's awesome. Yep, that's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. So,
what you got?
Well, Coach C corrected me.
But
I'm trying to find out if I can go back up on it. Can you?
Can I?
Yeah, can you? He was talking about the YouTube.
Where'd
Where'd it go?
I gotta go back to work. I'll be back.
Okay. Anyway, I can't find
you're supposed
it.
to put that on Do Not Disturb when we're doing this.
It's work. You can't.
You
know, gotta make that money, man.
I used to have 3 cell phones at my, you know, back when I used to do what I used to do. So I knew how to turn them off and what the excuses needed to be.
if my boss calls me, I'm promising you I'm not answering the phone right now. So.
Okay, here it is. I found it. I apologize if I misinterpreted it, Coach D. He said it's not a YouTuber receiving before release. I'm saying allow YouTubers, as Horizon does with RTR vehicles, to showcase the company's NPRC product on release date on their channel. Okay, I'm sorry. He corrected me.
Okay. I think it still kind of, you know, falls into the same response, though. I mean, it's marketing, it's business. You know, you got to get it out there for people to see it, and if they've got a following, you know, not everybody agrees with it, but this is kind of the day and age we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Gary Campbell says 3 cell phones you put back in the day.
No, I used to. So by trade, I'm an explosive specialist.
Wow.
So I worked in the oil field for many years. You know, Louisiana, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. But worked myself up into management. So I had my phone, company phone, and the bat phone for emergencies. So there was many years I didn't know what a good sleep was. I knew how to nap.
Wow.
It was constant phone calls. So yeah.
And also, this really, well, it does have to do with RC, but I do want to shout out to everybody to please go check out that GoFundMe page that is posted on Webb RC, and it's also posted at Desert Hobbies RC. But Brandon Dawson's son, Cam Dawson, was hit by an RC car, and it broke his foot, and he had to go to, from what I understand, OR, and he had to go back to the ER last night.
Oh, goodness.
So there's a GoFundMe page, and we are asking everybody to, as everybody will say, you know, skip a coffee, skip a Big Mac attack, and just, you know, donate to it.
Anything you can help, man. That's $1, anything. Y'all know how. Me and Valerie, you know, we found out a long time ago when we first had our second kid. You know, we ran into a problem. Our kid needed help, and we were young, and there was people there to help us then. You know what I mean? And it put it in our mind to where, as long as I'm able to help some, I'm gonna help somebody. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. That dollar, whatever, because the world can be upside down in just a matter of seconds. So,
right.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you know, and everybody I'm sure knows medical bills can add up quick, and you know, just because you got that health insurance doesn't always mean that.
And it's one more thing is it ain't just money neither. If you ain't got 1 cent if you got, you know what I'm saying, and that's the way it is.
Positive thought.
Just pray. That's one of the main things too. Prayer just as much as the money. So you know what I'm saying, just keep them in your mind. But other than that, what's up?
No, I just wanted to give a shout out about that because I saw Brandon was on here earlier.
Oh, okay. Anything else?
Let's see.
You better talk to Chris. It's his show.
Well, Chris?
I know, I'm just over here just like talking all over Chris.
I'm here to hang out and conversation.
Chris is like, y'all need to shut up and get backstage. That's what we're talking about.
I don't know if I can, you know, I can keep it going for a little while, but then I'm new at this, guys, so I'm winging it.
Me too.
But like I said, it gets to be fun, man. Like I said, you can make as many things as you want to of how it's going to go and what you're going to talk about. and you never talk about it. You know what I mean? You wind up going, "Oh shit, what was that paper?"
That'll be about 1:30 in the morning, and so I was like, "Oh man, I was going to talk about."
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it happens. Believe me. So 3 days of notes taking down.
I just did this ad lib. I didn't write anything down. I just was like, whatever,
Well, see, this is where you're seasoned pro at it, and your first one.
No. So
that's great.
But,
I like it.
I mean, unless somebody's got like questions or whatever. I mean, I don't know what else to talk about.
Yeah. And like I said, and whatever else we need, or anybody else got any questions, or Chris, let everybody know if they'll take pictures and send them to you, and anything about their races when you're talking about them, we can promote them. If they got sponsors, let us know. Let's call them out. Let's do what we need to do.
I mean, I plan on kind of doing a little bit of a driver spotlight here at some point in time. Also, just kind of go over a few things. I already got some information from a few of the local fast guys on what they're running, and they didn't hesitate to just share almost everything with me, right away, and just so that way I can once again just show the different ways to get to the same
thing. Yeah.
Same thing. Yep.
And saying, like I said, and everybody's kind of following suit with you. Kid Sims is going to handle Florida. He's going to get that area, kind of do the same thing, and try to do the same thing.
Kyle
Christie's going to do the California area, and Sean South's going to do Central as much as he can. And like I said, hopefully it'll grow from there.
Right.
And hopefully we'll get him back too, so we can always have updates. Yep, I need to be out here. He's better than talking than I am, so he can come on here and talk to anybody. Get him on here with Kid, don't we?
He's a busy man, guys. He's busy.
Well, it was it was kind of cool actually. In Tulsa, actually finally getting to hang out with Kid. We'd talked a little bit, over Messenger and worked on some motor stuff with him and everything, but to actually get to hang out and talk and everything, and I definitely, it's like, getting to know him and that alone and being able to deal with them and everything was, I gained a lot of respect and, camaraderie, for Kid. And, I mean, what you can talk about a genuinely good dude, I'd hang out with him anytime.
Well, you see him online and everything else, and you're like, I wonder if he's playing being a good guy. But he's honestly good. He's a great, he's a good friend of mine now. But he's just a great guy, man.
I was actually going to wear the back in my day T-shirt because I got one. But I just threw on a black DragWorx shirt and I was like, all right, we'll just do this. So, but no, I definitely I don't know if you'd want to have both of us on the live feed though, because it might be 4 hours long.
Hey man, sometimes that's what's fun, man. It just that's what I like to do sometimes, man. It's just get some people on here that's willing just to talk. Just know what I'm saying, whatever's going on, and just see what's coming on. And the people that come on here will get it going.
Yeah.
They'll ask you things, and it just gets to be a good time. I know the longest we've ever been on one, just doing what we're doing right now, is probably like 6 hours.
6 hours.
Oh, dude.
And that, and
now that did get a little.
Yeah, now that was a long one, but like I said, most of the time our races are 5 or 6 hours. You know what I mean, or 7 sometimes. But at least we're doing a race. But yeah, we've done this for a long time, one night too, very long.
I got a little crazy.
The thing is, I usually have to like.
Sorry guys, I seen somebody's wanting to know the time for the Huber Heights event Saturday for the 937. John, I think test and tune starts at 6:30, and it goes from there. If I'm mistaken, I'll get that straightened out and I'll put that up on their page.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Gary Campbell
he's crazy. Yeah, I was glad to finally meet him when we got to go.
Yes.
I think it was to the 419 is where we went for that one.
The 419.
I enjoyed meeting him. And man, you need to let me know when y'all got some races coming in y'all's area again.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit more heads up than like this weekend, because I got one this weekend. I'm going to Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah.
I need to call that one out too, y'all. Let me hang on one sec, man. Everybody called out where they're doing. Let me call out what I'm doing
and
too.
while he's calling that out,
you're gonna call it out. I'm just gonna bring a picture up. So.
Okay, he was all. Y'all also talked about Cody Offenbecker and about giving help and giving tips and tricks.
Yeah, I ain't got it on here, but Cody's doing that too.
He's actually doing that July 17th in Knightdale, North Carolina. He's having a class, and he's hoping to have everybody that attends that class run a 1.8.
Yeah, when they leave it, and he says like bring your notebook, bring your stuff, and
bring your questions.
Yeah, you're gonna have a track fee just for the track because it's gonna be a true tree and everything, and test and tune and race, whatever you want to do. But what Cody's doing, he's doing it for free, and he's just gonna teach as many people as he can. So that's a pretty good deal, man.
That's awesome.
And I know Ken Yule and Sean Yule will be using their track tree, which is the No Limit.
Yep.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Jamming in July. Okay, here it is. This is where we're going to go. Jamming in July 10th, 3.0 Index Shootout. Sponsors RC something. I can't read that. Cal RC, First Class Auto, Gens Ace, and Proline.
And he's got some more, but y'all see that if y'all watch the live any. So.
Chip draw is at 11:30. First round starts at 12 p.m. $25 buy-in, $5 track fee, $10 buyback first round. Portatree timing system. Clarksville, Tennessee.
And if you're not in Tennessee or Ohio and you're somewhere else, we got one coming up.
Salt City Clash 2022, Saturday, July 23rd. This is also the one where Abel and CC will be tying the knot.
Yeah.
Payout at first is going to be 75%. Second place will be 25%. Yeah, we're going to have to enlarge that a little bit. 8 a.m.
It's on my website, and it'll be on other things too.
Yeah. So, it's everywhere.
Yeah. But like I said, man, that's pretty much what we try to do is just grow as much as we can. One of these days, Chris and all of us are going to be riding around on our little short bus and traveling the world, and that's what we're going to do, man.
In that bus, I will go wherever you want, I swear.
Well, man, I thank y'all for coming on, Chris. I think you did awesome.
Mark, you did awesome.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
So much for coming on.
And I appreciate you guys doing this and and having me, and it's been a great time. I hope this isn't the only time that we get to chat. Maybe as we get a little closer to production, revisit and have more updates.
If you ever got anything you want to promote or even just talk about, my channel is your channel.
Yep.
This is we're a family, and you just screwed up and got to be a part of it now. You were in it, so
sounds good.
No give you backsies now. You're stuck. So yeah, anytime you ever want to come on here, man, you let me know. And
I want to say, Mark, it was a pleasure.
Likewise.
And I might have a few questions for you at some time or another.
Hit me up, man.
I'm gonna get a motor just to make sure next time I see him at a race, I'm gonna be like, when he set up his tent and everything, I'll be like, "Can you help me with this?" Just keep bugging the hell out of. Can you help me with this?
That's great.
That first sponsor.
Gary, yeah.
First sponsor. You're a little late in line for that one.
That was too cute.
What was that?
Come here, sis. Come here. She figured I've been down here long enough. She put her down.
Oh, hey.
That's cool. Awesome.
You silly girl. Come on, people.
Well, good deal. Well, like I said, anybody wants to, Chris, hit me up. Let me know. You're gonna be setting a schedule, and I'll be setting it up. So Chris will be doing this pretty much every Thursday, I think, right?
We're gonna give it a shot. I'm going on vacation at the end of the month, so it might be a short one.
So you might be where you gonna be at the beach? You gonna show us some sand? What you gonna be?
I'm gonna be at Pigeon Forge, Knoxville area, actually. So
awesome.
Show us some mountains, and that's just as good. So I mean, you can't beat that, dude.
Right.
All right, y'all.
Well, everybody,
guys, thanks.
Right,
thank you.
So much.
Thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time, man. Thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a great weekend.
And one more thing.
What?
Just remember to always stay true to yourself.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all. Bye.
Bye.